Hello and welcome to the Discover History YouTube channel, and I will apologise to start with it being so late. The problem is these light nights basically mean that I can be in the store till quite late cleaning and repairing stuff, and Helen's also got very addicted to, what do you think, updating the website. So she sat there and she's going through the entire website, and eventually it will be launched again or relaunched again, and it will have a lot more information about what we can offer, and also a huge amount of photographs, because as the famous saying goes, a picture paints 1,000 words. So keep a lookout. We will tell you when it goes live again. Our website is currently on, but the updated one will go on probably in a couple of weeks' time. Do have a look at our website, by the way. It's www.discover-history.co.uk. Have a look on there and see all the things that we offer. Everything from schools to talks, everything from training and consultancy, right down to walking tours of our home city, Worcester. Anyway, back to tonight, because if not, it'll be midnight. We had a little bit of a quest for you, and that quest was a mystery object. So we showed you two items, and they are both exactly the same. Well, sort of, slightly different, but they're the same item. And we asked you, what are they? So we showed you this one, made out of glass, very heavy, but strangely with a very shallow depression in the middle of it. And then we also showed you this one, which is extremely shallow and a little bit lighter and more decorated. It's more cut basically, but they're both glass. Now there was a few people that answered correctly. We had a couple of messages specifically. We had a few comments as well on Facebook. My mom also had to go at it again, and my mom actually got it almost close, because she actually said, is it something to do with ice cream? The answer was, they are to do with ice cream, and what these actually are penny licks. Now I don't know if you've ever heard of these before, but penny licks were the way some people bought their ice cream, for example, at the seaside. Now ice cream has been around for a very long time, interestingly, and the very rich in society used to have all sorts of ice creams as a dessert. Basically, they used to also have sorbets as well, which were made out of fruit juices, and they were frozen using the good quality ice houses that you do see at stately homes today. And the interesting thing is, they were very decorated. The ice creams were decorated. Sometimes the sorbets were in the shape of things like pineapples, for example. Really delicate things, really artistic items. However, as time went on, especially by the Victorian era, the lower, poorer people of society also had this taste for ice cream. And as the seaside holiday became more and more popular, it was quite common when you were at the seaside to find a salesman. And this is a street seller, not Victorian, but it gives you an idea. This is a typical street seller that you will find with ice cream. Now, this should come with a warning, several warnings in fact. The ice cream was usually made in the person's home. Now bear in mind, in the Victorian era, a lot of people lived in back-to-back houses, so they probably had a shared area for laundry, a shared area for their toilet and play area and in washing area, and that's where most of the ice cream was made. So they would get hold of this milk, the cream, and they would mix it together and cool it down. But there was dangers there, because we know in some of the health reports they actually record hair being found in the ice cream, mice and rat droppings in ice cream, and all sorts of nasty things that have come off the table, off the ceiling, bits of plaster, for example, that was found actually in the ice cream. The other shocking thing is they would have used river ice usually that would have been the freezing agent to it. And the shocking thing was they would collect that in the wintertime, obviously, and they would store it somewhere cold. The rich houses obviously had the ice house that I just mentioned, but the poor kept it wherever they could to keep it cold and to stop it from melting completely. And the problem is they collected a lot of river ice that was contaminated with sewage. So not only have you got all sorts of foreign matter inside the ice cream, you've also got the element that the ice cream is being kept cold by basically marinating in raw sewage from rivers and things like that. So it's horrible stuff. To make matters worse, they were kept in lead boxes. So then we've got the added danger of every time someone scoops out ice cream, they're also scraping possibly bits of lead into the ice cream. So it's extremely dangerous stuff. And we know ice cream was often adulterated as well. So they often used to use contaminated water from wells to add to the cream to make the ice cream go further. They used to do all sorts of horrible things that would potentially kill a person. Now, when you stopped the ice cream seller, the person with the trolley basically, you would go over to him and you would ask for an ice cream. Now, he had to serve it quickly because obviously this ice cream is not going to keep all day. And what he would do is give you an option of maybe a penny lick, but there were also halfpenny licks as well. And what he would do is take one of these glasses that he had a stock of, not a huge stock of because they are expensive. He would take hold of a spoon, scrape out the ice cream, and put some in the top of the penny lick, usually keeping it pretty flat. The likelihood of you having something really high is pretty slim. So as you can see, you don't get that much. But the interesting thing is, because of the glass, it will actually look an optical illusion as if the ice cream actually goes down to the bottom. And then all you would do is you would stand next to the vendor, the seller, and you would lick out the ice cream, lick out the penny lick or the halfpenny lick. Now, it didn't last very long because, like I said, it was melting all the time. It's not like modern ice cream. But once he had licked it from out of this container, it went back to the vendor, the seller, and he would place it back onto his cart and then hand it to someone else when they buy. You can imagine this caused major problems because people were licking this and it was being used multiple times. As I always say when I do a talk on the Victorian seaside, it's best to buy one of these in the morning when the ice cream is its freshest, it's still pretty solid, and the more important thing, the penny lick may have been cleaned overnight or may have been left on the cart, and maybe over time, hopefully, the germs has disappeared. Probably not, to be fair, but it's safer to have it then than about 4 o'clock. If you have ice cream at around about 4 o'clock, this has been licked by thousands of people. Anyway, by the 1890s, in London specifically, they had completely banned these glass licks, these penny and halfpenny licks, and that was really down to the fact that people were dying of cholera and all the other horrible diseases that were around. And as time went by, especially by the 1900s, suddenly you start having people trialing new things. Now in America, they actually come up with the cone, the actual wafer cone. So what you would have then is something that the ice cream is in, and then it would be consumed as well. So there's no mess whatsoever, no cleaning up to do, and obviously that's more hygienic as well. And that's what leads us on to something like that. That only came along because the other method, using a penny and halfpenny lick, like this one, was way too dangerous, being licked by thousands and thousands of people every single day. Now, you could also buy ice cream in some of the better quality vendors, especially little shops that appeared at the seaside, and you could have them in shells. For example, this is a scallop shell, so you could go into a shop and have your ice cream dolloped into a scallop shell, and therefore you would sit there eating it with a spoon, which is much more hygienic. The interesting thing is, even in my childhood, I remember you could get a cone like an oyster, and that had ice cream in it. So you can see where that comes from. It comes really from the fact that people used to use shells for that purpose years ago. And at the end of the day, these can be cleaned. But then there was also some of the Italian ice cream vendors who used to sell what was called the Okey Pokey. Now the Okey Pokey is actually a much solider ice cream than what you get in a penny lick. And they would wrap it up in paper and sell it like that. Very much like the choc ices you used to get years ago. The sad thing is you've got to eat it quick because it's just wrapped in paper. The danger as well is there was a lot of people that used to adulterate these, and in one case what they used to take is a load of turnips, for example, very mouldy, very soft turnips, old turnips that you can't really cook anymore. They used to mash that down and then mix it with a cream, and that would be used as an alternative, a dangerous alternative to pure ice cream. So that's been a little introduction about ice cream. In particular, it answers our mystery object. They are penny licks. Now, we might do a video, or shall we say Helen, our food historian, might do a video all about the history of ice cream, because Helen actually does a talk on the history of ice cream. She's done that talk for lots of groups, including WIs. So hopefully, if the lockdown gets loosened even more as we go by the next few weeks and months, and maybe one day we'll get back to doing talks, remember, maybe book a talk on the ice cream, because on a day like this in beautiful sunshine, what better than talking about ice cream? Anyway, on that note, have a look at our website. It will be relaunched shortly, www.discover-history.co.uk. Stay safe, enjoy an ice cream, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.